Part 25, Reflection and Motherly Love. This chapter is also dedicated to the late Maggie Smith that passed away earlier this year in 2024. I started to go back to Hermione and Ron, but I went and sat down on the sidelines to have a moment alone. I grabbed the locket from underneath my clothing and fiddled with it as I pulled the photograph out of my pocket, staring at it. "Mom, Dad, I miss you guys," I muttered. I sighed as I felt tears welling up in my eyes, trying not to start crying. I'm finally starting to come and be at peace with Dad's death, but it came way too soon in my eyes. I started to remember some of the conversation me and Severus had about the truth involving Dad that I told Uncle Abe. To put it bluntly, the ring cursed him. Cursed him? What do you mean? You sure you want to know the truth? It's going to be painful to hear. It's okay, Severus, I want to know. Hit me with it. Well, that ring is called the Marvolo Gaunt's ring. It's a Horcrux that the Dark Lord created many years ago when he was young, like yourself, according to your father. A powerful curse was placed upon that ring, which could lead to death for whoever wears the ring. Your father attempted to destroy the Horcrux that was in it, which he did, but it didn't stop the curse containing within it. Dad never told me about any of this, Severus. There's a reason as to why he didn't want you to know, Paige. He knew you wouldn't fully understand all of this up until a certain point. He also knew that I would tell you whatever you wanted to know. So wait, that's why he told you to tell me to read his journal, because I could learn anything I wanted to know from both him and you. Severus nodded his head. So, that black look on Dad's hand, that was from the curse brought on by the ring? Yes, Paige. I managed to stop the curse from spreading too far in his hand. But he only had about a year left to live. I sighed deeply as I felt a few tears fall down my cheeks and continued to fiddle with my locket. I placed the photo on my lap as I wiped my tears away from my face. What's tragic is that Harry finally learned the truth about Dad's fate from Severus's memories. In a way, yes, I was angry with Dad for doing what he did all those years ago, even though it was for a reason. But I was more angry at Voldemort for causing all this mess in the first place, and he's been causing nothing but death since I was born. He was afraid of Dad, and he shouldn't dare to test me. I want to face the bastard once and for all, because I'm Dumbledore's daughter, the late Headmaster's lover, and now Harry Potter's girlfriend. I want to kill Voldemort myself if I find out that Harry will be dead. After all, he promised me he would find a way to come back alive. I'm sure he'll think of something like maybe fool Voldemort somehow or something. Seems like your head is spinning, dear, I heard. I looked up to see Minerva standing before me as I let go of my locket and shoved the picture back in my pocket. Mom, I stated happily. I stood up and immediately hugged her tight as she hugged me back tight. Thank goodness you're all right, dear. I was worried about you. I'm glad to know that you're all right too, Mom. She let go of her hug as she looked at me. What happened to Harry, Paige? I tried not to get tears in my eyes as I muttered, He went to go meet with Voldemort. Oh dear, she responded as she laid a hand on my shoulder. We finally admitted our feelings toward each other at least. I'm telling you, Mom, if Harry dies, I'm fighting Voldemort myself. Did he kiss you? Harry? Yeah, he did, and he held my hand too. She smiled softly but said, I'm glad things worked out between you two. I know how you are, Paige. I would wait before you try anything with Voldemort. I will defend you if I have to, but I don't want you to try and get yourself killed too. After all, I promised your father I would look after you as a mother figure since your first year. I raised my eyebrows when she said his name. I guess she isn't afraid to say Voldemort's name after all. I only will if no one does anything. After all, I had a feeling it was going to be either me or Harry anyway. Harry's a strong and brave boy, Paige. I hope you don't mind me asking here since you're close to him and all, but have you seen Severus around since everything? I looked at her with such emotion in my eyes that I couldn't bring myself to say the words. He's dead. I shuddered as I felt tears fall. I could see her facial expression change to sorrow. She's been with me in all of this, with Severus every step of the way, mostly up until this horrible mess started to happen. Oh, Paige, dear, I'm so sorry. I looked down as tears fell down my face, and she held my hand. What happened? She asked. Voldemort, I muttered. He killed him. She watched me as I continued. I mean, he's been watching and protecting me most of my life like a godfather. Then he fell in love with me as much as he did with Lily. Not to mention, sooner or later, Dad approved too. I tried not to cry hard, but said, I can guarantee, Mom, that if Voldemort didn't kill him, then maybe Severus and I could have gotten engaged one day. Paige, look at me, dear, I heard her say. I looked up at her with pure sadness. She stated, no matter how things seemed to be, Severus cared deeply about you and came to love you. I knew that, and so did your father. He cared about Harry, too. He didn't want anyone to know, but deep down, it's the truth. He died for no reason, Mom. He could still be alive because Voldemort is too stupid to believe something that isn't bloody true, and now the love of my life is gone, and I watched it happen. I mean, Harry now knows and understands the truth about everything with Dad and Severus, and knows I'll have some type of love for Severus. I don't know everything or his reasons for doing certain things. I believe with everything he did, he tried to think of you to protect you. He wanted to keep you safe and away from Voldemort. I could tell that he loved you, Paige. I noticed Hermione and Ron from afar, as Minerva saw too. She wiped the tears off of my face. I'll always be around for you, Paige. Never forget that. You aren't alone and never will be, even after you leave here. I love you like a daughter of my own. I smiled as she smiled back. I love you too, Mom. I'll never forget it, I promise. If what you said before is true, Paige, that would mean Severus made a decision he had no choice in the end of it all. I nodded my head. Yeah, he sacrificed so much for all of us without anyone knowing, really. Only a select few like me and Harry know the truth. I'm not going to force you to tell me anything, Paige. But perhaps whenever you're ready to talk to me about all of this, I'll be here and ready for you. What are you going to do, Mom? I mean, what's going to happen to this place? Oh, depending upon how things go, cleaning up is in order. Then probably repair what needs to be fixed and maybe become the next headmistress, I suppose. I couldn't help but to smile. Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to defeat Voldemort. You deserve that position, Mom. Thank you, dear. There's something I want you to know. What is it? I looked at her as she looked at me. You told me that you inherited your father's private home, correct? Yes. I want you to know that just because you'll be leaving Hogwarts, that doesn't mean I'll stop seeing you. Meaning you'll come and visit me anytime? As often as you want me to, dear. You aren't alone. I smiled big. I would love that, Mom. Don't worry. I know where it is. I know how to find you. I love you, Mom. Thank you for always looking out for me. You're welcome, dear, and I love you too. She hugged me tightly and soon let go as we shared a kind smile, and I watched her walk away. Then, in the distance outside, I heard Ginny say to Neville, "Who's that Hagrid's carrying, Neville?" Seeing Neville and Ginny outside, we all slowly walked out to see what the commotion was about.